Hi everyone, welcome. Hi. Hi guys, hi Kenny, Abby, Elaine, Dawn, Pat, Helen, Shelley, Star, Kathy, goodness me. Loretta, hello. Hi guys, welcome, come in. So, no colouring today. I'm making a mess instead. Got the broom to sweep up the mess. I've got hubby standing behind me. He's not going to say anything though. He's shaking his head, nah. We're cutting out some clip art images off Pixabay just to stick into my little scrapbook. So, I didn't have a book big enough to fit some of these images, so I decided to make my own, which was kind of a bit of a adventure yesterday with glue and faux leather and plastic and a few other things that I had there. So I did a video of me making the book, but it is only just a speed video, just so you can see how I went about it. But we're going to be doing two. I've got this big book here that I've made up. And I'm just going to show you a little example. I made a little one first, just to show an example. I got the idea of these books from Jane Davenport. She did them for her Making Faces workshop. She showed how to make this little booklet. So I've made a smaller one on video slow for you, so you can see how I made it. So I'll play that first and I can chat with you while it's playing. Hi guys. Hi Debbie, welcome. Welcome guys. Hello Alicia. Hi Pam. Come in peoples. So anyone else I've missed, I apologize. Hello. So I'll just do a quick video of how I did this one, and while it's playing I'll explain to you what's happening. Alright, so this is the paper that I've used. This is just a 6x6 size, just to show you an example. You need 8 pages, so whatever paper you're using, it doesn't have to be square, it could be rectangle, but they all need to be the same size and shape basically. So if you're going to be doing a book, I'm going to use a 12x12 pad here to make the bigger book, which we'll do after I show this example. I've got some washi tape there, and I'm just picking out my 8 pieces of paper here as well. Hi everyone, welcome. So today we are going to be putting together my witch coven. Well, 7 of them anyway. We'll get the rest of them done, but just thought I'd get the book organized, and then when I finished I can just stick them in ready to go. So we're going to do a bit of scrapbooking. I'm not all that great at card making, but that's kind of the stuff that we're going to be doing today. So Ennis's Facebook group has an awesome event going at the moment, run by Shelley. Thank you, Shelley. And the idea is to collect a witch coven. 13 witches will make up your coven, and there's some prizes and a draw and things like that in there as well. So it's not just doing it for nothing. There is a little bit of incentive to join in and have some fun. So with my pieces of paper, I've set them all out, and I'm just turning them all upside down so that when I stick them all together on the back here, the tape will be inside the book, the tape won't be on the outside, so I won't be able to see it. No worries, Shelley. Hi Linda, welcome. So I actually am marking out the pages that I need to stick together. So we're going to stick all of them across the top together, all of them across the bottom together, but then through the middle we're only going to stick the end two together and the other end two together. So we're leaving the middle ones free. We're not going to stick those ones together. So I'm just going to use some washi tape for this one. For the larger one, I will be using some invisible tape, or scotch tape we call it here in Australia. I don't know what it's called there. And what I want to do is I want to line them up as close as I possibly can together without actually joining them together. So there's like a tiny little mill gap between each one. We're making a book, a scrapbook. I don't know what to call it. I was talking about it with everyone yesterday. I'm like, it can't be an almanac because that's like a listing of events. It's not a grimoire because that's a book of spells. It could be a book of shadows because that's a bit of a mixture of lots of different things. A Coven index? I don't know. Okay, so I've just got my washi tape and I'm just going to join those two pages together now. I'm still cutting out feathers and broomsticks and witches and all sorts of things here while you guys are watching this. A book of shadows sounds bad. Is that maybe it's a Coven yearbook? Yeah, it could be a Coven yearbook. A witch directory? Witch's almanac? That's what I was thinking, a witch's almanac. Ow, my finger's stuck in my little scissors there. So I'm using just a bone folder. It's actually a cheap version, it's plastic, but to push down the washi tape so it sticks to the paper nicely. Oop. I'm even in a cage. Gee, that sounds witchy. I've got some birds here, and all I did was go on to Pixabay and I just typed in feather silhouette, and I was able to grab a whole heap of silhouettes of birds and some feathers because I didn't have bits and pieces like that laying around, so I've just printed them on some paper and cutting them out, and I can stick them on into the book. So I've stuck 3 of the top layer together so far. Just trying to trim off the washi tape so it stays nice and neat. Hi Jo Beth, welcome. Hi Bev, welcome. Hi Mia, welcome. A witch dating service catalogue. Good one, Shelley. Coven directory. A book of witchy treasures. That's a good one. Shelley. Well, it could be a dating service one because we've got good witches and not so good witches in here. You know, actually, I should have probably printed out some skulls. I didn't even think of that. Oh well. Alright, so I've put together the whole top layer. And now I'm just going to do the bottom layer the same. So making sure I've trimmed off all of the tape and everything again. I spent all day yesterday putting this together, so was a bit of fun, a bit of trial and error. And I got myself into some sticky situations. I stuck to my book a few times, and I stuck things to my book a few times, but I got it in the end. Which number one enjoys walks in the enchanted forest and changing princes into frogs? Very good, Shelley. I like that one. That reminds me of Shrek, when Lord Farquaad was talking to the mirror, saying, "Show me who's available," and he goes through all the princesses. It's good, Shelley. It's good. I like it. Alright, so I'm just finishing up the bottom here now. And if you want to check out Jane Davenport's video, it was the video in the free workshop that she had on her website. So if you go to her website and look up workshops, it was a free workshop called Making Faces. And in the first video, she just gave a quick overview of how to make this little book. So you can make it with any paper, which is good. You can make your own little scrapbook or diary or anything like that. Oh, is it paused? Oh, is it? Oh, sorry guys. Hopefully it's working for you. Should be able to go back and watch if you really do want to make it up anyway. So it will take probably a few hours to load after live, but it'll be there. The great thing about the book that I'm doing is that I can actually add things to it later, so I don't have to just confine it to my little witchy whatever we're calling it. I can add pages to it later, and we can make, I don't know, I can make a whole Ennis book, or just add other witches to it as well, not just Ennis's. But for now we'll just leave it with Ennis's Coven until I finished, because I've done so many witches and Halloween themed stuff this month. I probably could put all that in there. Alright, so I've done both the top and the bottom. Now I'm just going to join the two side pieces together. So starting on this side, it helps if I have my washi tape lined up properly too. It kept getting stuck to everything. Oh, which 5? Well done, Helen. I've got 7 now. Try that again. See, it's just sticking to me. I got into some sticky situations. I'm still cutting out feathers here in the background if you're wondering what the noises are. So just this end, and then we're going to do the same on the other end as well. I'm just going to turn it around, and I'm just going to do the other side. Has anyone made one of these before? Did anyone do the Jane Davenport workshop? I have been frantically working on them though, I must admit. So just lining that up again and then just sticking this side down. We're going to kind of create a little bit of a star shape in a minute and put it together. Alright, I've cut out 4 feathers and a broom. I have to admit it was actually quite easy making this little one. When it came to using the 12 by 12 paper, I struggled to get things neat and tidy. It was just a mess. So now I'm just going to fold it in half and I'm going to stand it up. I'm just pushing down the washi tape first. Yeah, Laurie, there was a whole heap of and then we're just going to split open the middle part here and create a star. So I'm just going to push those edges in like that. Mine was the crescent moon coven. I'm just going to use the bone folder to fold down the pages here and just flatten everything out. I used a die cutter for some little things, Linda, but I'm cutting them out with my hands at the moment. I don't have a lot of die cuts that have witchy things on them, so I have to admit that I've really only just started using die cuts and things. So that's my little book. You can have it any way you want. You can have any page can be the cover. It doesn't really matter. There is some tape coming through on the sides. It's not too bad. And the pages are kind of not joined in the middle, but that doesn't matter either because it's actually going to create a little bit of character in my book. So, but that's what I'm going to do in my big version. Alright, so that was the little one. So I just repeated the same thing on my big one here. But because I had trouble with the pages lining up, some of them are a bit crinkled and rough looking. But I actually don't mind it because it makes the book look thick and I don't know, gives it some character. So I'm going to create the bigger one, which I've got in a speed video, which is exactly the same as what we just did. And also I created a little folder. So I've used some faux leather and some plastic inside, or you could use cardboard, and I've created a little binder for it all. Okay, so let's put that on. It is a speed video, but I'll explain when I get to the, I'm cutting out witches and a moon now. I've done some leaves, some feathers, sorry. Ah, there you go, 12 by 12 pages I used. I just used cheap, we have this brand is cheap here in Australia, Kaiser Craft. And I picked some of the darker kind of pages, but let's watch that video. Just cutting my pages up because the pages had little tabs on them. So I'm just repeating the same steps. I know, fast. Look how fast I can get this done. Whipped through it. It took me all day though. Okay, so I'm just doing a bigger version of it now, putting them together, folding them out into a star and making a book. I'm just going to use a little bit of invisible tape just to tape some of the in-between pages down because it was sticking up a little bit. But that's it. That's my big book. So exactly the same as what I did on the little one. We just did it really fast here. So my hubby is a bit of a collector of things, and he gave me some plastic hips, which is high impact plastic, and I cut it into 13 by 13 squares. I sanded it down and I painted it with some clear gesso just to add a little bit of texture onto it. I did it on both sides. I waited for it to dry and repeated it on 2 sheets of plastic. I know, Shelley, and I really liked mine because at the time we were actually watching the originals, and Hayley is the pack leader of the Crescent Wolf pack, so that was funny. Hey Brittany, welcome. Hi Lulu, welcome. Hi Holly, welcome. Guys, if you just popped in, sorry if I haven't caught you. Alright, so I've got some material here, and of course I cut it too short. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. Well, I didn't do that. But I managed to squish it in still. I used some spray adhesive, so spray glue. Oh look, I'm wearing Superman. Yay! And I used the glue to spray it down. I did have to dry a little bit in between because the glue needs to be tacky for it to stick. I also did a really thin layer of plastic down the middle to make a little bit of a binding so that it wouldn't sit flat, and it also means that I can add a little bit of extra stuff in there, making it a little bit thicker as I go. Now the only thing that I didn't get on camera was putting in the eyelets. I did have to get Cam to do that because it was a little bit tough getting through the plastic. But I just put 2 eyelets in the top of the spine and 2 in the bottom, and I'm going to show you. I'm not very good at this book covering thing either. It didn't go very well for me. As I said, very sticky situation. I played around with it for ages before I finally got it to look anything okay. Like okay, I should say. I gave everyone a headache with the glue that I was spraying. We had to turn the fans on. Hi Jo Beth, I just noticed that your last part has got crafty cauldron. Was that like that before? Did you just change that? Did I not notice that before? Anyway, it started again. So that was it. So, this is my finished book. I stuck some paper over the plastic so you couldn't see it. And I've got my little eyelets in there now. I'm going to use some, just some hat elastic this is. You can get thinner. I'm going to go this one, if I can figure out how to get it off the thing there. Alright. It's all tangled in here. Just going to pull all the black off, I think, because it's just going to annoy me. There we go. Alright, I'm going to thread the elastic through these little eyelets here. Hello. Bringing it down and back through these bottom ones as well. So all we've got showing on the back cover is the little piece of elastic there. I want to make it not too tight that it's going to bend my book, but firm enough to hold. Some paper in there. Just dropping everything here. Ah, good. Good. I didn't think that it was like that, Jo Beth. I thought it might have been you. I'm just going to tie a bit of a knot in here. Would help if I had a better hold on that. That's good. Just trim that off. I'm actually going to do that again. So we've got 4 in case we want to add stuff later. So each piece of string can hold one of those little booklets that I made earlier. So if I put 4 in here, that's quite a few pages that I can get in this book. Sorry, because there's another piece of elastic in there, it's hard to get that through there. Poke it in there, I think. Try that again. And back through this one. Sorry, just gotta hold it up a bit. I really should have cleaned up my mess, hey, before I started, but I needed to take a photo of it for the thumbnail, and there you go. Alrighty, let's trim that one off. Playing the guitar there. Didn't want it too. It is bending it in a little bit. It might be a little bit too firm. I can loosen them off a little bit though. All right. So if you did a smaller one, or you did all smaller pictures, then you wouldn't need to do as big a folder, I guess. Alright, so this is all that I was thinking of doing. 1, 2, and putting them through like this. Holding my book in place. Now if I make another one, which I probably could have made a couple while I was at it yesterday, but let's pretend this one's the right size. And we can stick it in this. There's a couple of bands, so we can do whatever we want. Just in like that, and you've got another book. Pretty cool, huh? Groovy. Groovy. So there's my book. Now I might do something on the cover one day, but not today. I'll take this out so we can do some playing around now. I got a whole heap of things in here. I've got some burlap. I've got some cut out feathers, broomsticks. I've got some Hessian string. I've got a couple of this. I'm just going to use this to make like a pastel background or something. I've got double-sided tape, which is hugely important. I also cut out with my die cutter some leaves and a couple of flowers there in like a darker sort of colored paper, and I stuck on some sticky on the back of them so they're easier for me to stick on because they're so tiny. I've got some distress ink and some squid ink and some little, I don't know what they're called, dabbers to put them on with. This is a cheap brand Kaiser Craft one. It's kind of a brown color. I want to make some of them look distressed. So I've got a distresser. What else have I got? Got some scrapping paper that's already been distressed. It already looks old. This is just fabric with sticky stuff on the back. I've got some Jane Davenport tissue paper. I thought maybe I can cut out some eyes. What else have I got? The moon. I have a couple of different scrap papers to stick maybe underneath them. This one's just like butterflies, but they're all kind of mixture of different colors. And I've also got in this folder, this is the Jane Davenport folder, I've got a couple of stencils, bits and pieces, and I can put some random things in here and there if I want to. So I've got that out ready to use as well. Got heaps of bits and pieces, people. Some loads of junk. Alright, so this is my page. This is my first page. I was going to go with, these are all my Coven's witches so far, except two which I haven't printed out. But they'll go on the back cover anyway. But I was thinking I might add this little lady. I've cut them all out, trimmed them all on the front. She's so pretty. So this was, this one's called The Season of the Witch, so I figured this should go on the front cover. Should it not? And I thought maybe we could stick just some different types of paper. Maybe some Hessian. I'm just going to pull it apart so it looks a bit grubby looking. And we'll use some distress ink because it's a nice dark. This is walnut, this colour. Just got a little finger dabber here. Get him nice and wet. Just add a bit of dirt on there. Make it look dirty. Bit of brown. And yeah, I can start to just sort of build up on this. Create something out of something, you know? Who knows? Let's just let it all go together. And I think we should distress the picture. I don't know, will that wreck it if I do that? Any ideas? So this is a distresser, and it's just a blade, a circular blade inside a little plastic, I don't know, holder. And all you do to distress the paper is run it along the page. See how it's starting to, might be hard to see there, it's starting to sort of rip it up a bit. And then I'm just gonna, oh, look at my mess now. I'm just gonna put some of this sort of orangey one on here. I'm not worried about going on my paper because just give that a bit of a tear off on the edge there. Just make it look old and worn. Just tore off the very corner there a bit. There we go. This bit. This distressing pad I got off, this is a Tim Holtz one. I think I got this one on a scrapbook website here in Australia. But I'm pretty sure if you were to go to, say, Spellbinders or something like that, you'll be able to find them. And the little tools, I think I got these off eBay, actually. I'm not sure. Oh no, I may have got them from my local craft shop. Now I've also got some foam tape here. It's double-sided, which will help lift it off the page so it looks a little bit more 3D. So you can use foam tape, sticky dots, double-sided tape, anything to add on your little ensemble bits. I actually need to swap scissors because it's going to wreck my good scissors if I keep doing that. Oh, wrong side. I took all that time in colouring the other side and let's stick the feather on the top, I think, just like that. But I want to just sort of distress the outside a little bit. So I'm just going to use the walnut one. Just come around the edges a little bit. I want There's other tools that you can use too. I've got this this one's really cool actually. I don't have my mat out though. I should have probably got that out. And because I said before that the pages aren't really sitting properly, they're kind of wrinkled up a little bit, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. It just kind of makes it look older, more ready. Look at all these pictures that I have that I can put on, that hubby just finished cutting out for me. Aren't they kind of cool? I think I like that just like that though. So let me just grab some foam tip. I just need to find my other scissors though, because the tape, the sticky of the tape has gone on my scissors, so use an old pair if you're going to. Hi Sean, bye Sean, sorry. Hi Miranda, welcome. Hi Nisa, welcome. Or Nika. You probably did tell me your name, but I'm just terrible. I'm sorry. It's not you, it's me. You can add whatever you want. Make whatever you want. You can make it pretty, you can make it scarier. Make it darker, it's up to you. It's kind of 3D looking now. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just having some crafty fun. A little feather. I think I need something here. I'm going to try to attempt to make a little bow out of whatever this is. Put it around my scissors. I'm just going to stick that on there. Bit of glue. I have these glue dots, and it's just little pieces of clear tacky glue. Now of course I can't get it off my finger, it's stuck to me. Just going to put a little bit of that on the back of there to hold that down. That's it. First page done. This is really quite rough, so you know, have it all out, have a play with it, see what works well. I've also got the squid ink too, which is black, and I've got a gold here too, so I'm just going to do the outside of this page first with the walnut I'm just trying to get inside the edge of the page a little bit too, because because you know I can. Just in the middle of here as well. Dirty enough for us? As I said, I probably should have put my mat down here, but you know, just, you know, it's all good. I did see it. I won't be getting it, I don't think, unless it gets priced less. I'm so weary about buying books now like that. At least with a PDF, I don't have to worry about the paper quality and all that sort of thing. With that whole thing with Hannah Lynn's book, I was a bit disappointed. So, yeah, frustrating. Oh, this is cool. What have I got here? This is a big bit of hessian. It's messy. Telling you now, it's messy. Go over there for now. I think I might add one of these birdies on this one. I really liked this one. He looks cool. I'm gonna have to trim out his innards. Alright, the pictures I've got for this page. I was thinking the grey, no, Black Crystal Witch and Hecate, which I just did. Oh. I need to trim out this little bit of birdie. Knife, I think, to do that. I don't have my cutting mat here. It's over the other side of the room hiding, so I'm just trying to cut it out without wrecking it. I think I'll just use a little bit of the black squid ink and just fill out the rest of it so that it looks like it's filled in. I tried to cut it out, but oh, hang on, that bit didn't come out. Try that again. Oh, I just broke it off. Oh well, that'll do. You can't see the white anymore. I was just gonna stick that maybe there. Across the top of the page there. And I think I need to maybe stick that down with some, what have I got? Some matte medium. I just want to cover the page where I'm going to put it. Because there's so many little bits on it, I don't want to have to sit there and stick on a whole heap of double-sided stuff on there to get that there, but at least this way. I'm going to be sticking it well. Nice. Matte medium's awesome for decoupage and things like that. It's a great glue, and it's clear, dries clear, and it dries matte too. So you can draw over the top of it and things like that if you need to. Go like that dry now. You guys are the same. I was disappointed in it too, guys. I actually got an email this morning asking for feedback, and I think I might just send a message and just say, for the price and the hype, I didn't think it was worth it in the end. But I got a PDF version, so all good. All good. Oops, just squid inking everything here. I really like that this eye here. This eye. So this is a wrapping paper that came around Jane Davenport's stuff when I got it. I've actually ordered a couple more things, so I'll probably get some more. That eye is kind of groovy looking, so I'm just going to stick it down here. I'm going to leave some of that backgrounding because I'm going to put a picture over the top of it anyway. So she can creep out there. Look at that. Gonna look cool there. I am going to put some black onto that. I think what else can go on this page, do you reckon? Something down here. I have these cool little flowers. I think I might put one of these down there, but they're not pretty flowers. They're like browns, and but I might put that there with a bit of this one. Don't forget, this is really messy. I don't think I need that whole piece though. I think I'll make it into a square. Just pull off the sides a bit, make it more even. Dab on the top of it. This flower has some sticky backing on it because I die cut it with it on there. So I can pull that off carefully. and I'll stick the rest onto the page. I just need a little bit of double-sided tape. Oh, I'm using double-sided tape for the bigger stuff, and I'm using matte medium, which is, this is a Jane Davenport one, but I've got a big bottle of it here. Matte medium, which acts like a glue. And also I did have some sticky dots there as well. I usually use the sticky dots on top of the Hessian and things like that. Making it look a bit dark there. Is that dry nearly? Just going to use some squid ink. This is the black. Darkening up around the outside edges. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? The great thing about matte medium is that it dries really quickly too, so if you're putting on a sparing amount, like, you know, you're not going overboard, it dries pretty quickly. Let's distress this one. So pretty. This one took me literally, I don't know, 20 minutes to do. I did it with watercolor. It was so quick and easy to slap together, and it came out so pretty. And of course I forgot to press record, so I didn't even get it for patrons, but I can do another one. What are you ordering, Mia? What code do you have? Alright, we need some colour. I think we might just stick with the black this time. What's on the, a bit of the walnut? Get rid of all the paper dust off. I might just use double-sided tape for this one. This is just normal double-sided tape. It doesn't have foam under it. It's extremely strong, this one. Once it's in, it's in. It ain't coming off. I'm still not convinced that this page is finished either. So I hope you guys like this one. A bit of fun, something different, somewhere to put all my little witches so they're not just sitting around, floating around. This one needs definitely to be distressed. This has got PanPastel on the outside of this one, so it doesn't go all the way to the edges. So it's kind of like card making, a little bit like scrapbooking. I know we wouldn't use this kind of stuff when I was on my scrapbooking days. We were too careful. Double-sided tape, where are you? Hiding. Hard to see that, huh? So we've got page 1 and page 2. What's next? What have we got? I can't stick some of these in yet because they're not done, but we could go with this one. Oh, I'm gonna have to vacuum here. Vacuum when I'm done. There's crap everywhere. Okay, this one I might use some paper and maybe a bit of a stencil. And what I've got in here. PanPastel. This is an orange shade. made some cool shapes, didn't it? I like it. And there. Thinking maybe some black acrylic paint. Just off the edge there. Why not? Just need to clean my brush because I matte medium and acrylic paint in that then. Clean off. I'm just going to grab my little heat gun. How can they do that, Shelley? It seems weird. Do I need another birdie in there maybe? You could go over the top of her, I guess. Where do I put something? Oopsies. Big decision. Big decision. You should see my desk. Like, seriously, it's full on everywhere. Who knows what's gonna come out, my dears? Who knows? Oh, we could do a black hatch. This is my hubby cutting all of this stuff out for me. I also have the, like, this little witch here. She looked cool there too, yeah? I just didn't get time to cut her all out. Oh, thanks, Helen. It was good to do something different. What's the time now? Have I still got some time an hour? Cool. I'm seeing my niece today. Oops, I nearly cut her broom. Oh, actually, where'd the moon and the broom go? Because that would look cool here. Oh, there's the moon. because you know, crescent moon and all. There's a broomstick here somewhere too. Ha! But it needs to have some, you know, the broom can have some broom, what do they call them? Those things. Bit of matte medium, ready to go. I'm not sure this is right either. I think these little butterflies here are orange. So I think I might go with these. That's for my broom. I just gently distress this one because it's only done with paper. It can rip easily. I know she's got moths on her, but this is close enough. Yeah, it needed a bit of colour. Okay, and needs more distressing than that. I'm not an expert at this stuff, and I'm sure there are many of other streamers out there that do this all the time, so search them out. Get ideas. Also, if you have a look in the scrapbooking section, there are loads of embellishments and things that you could use for this kind of thing. They have like jewelry and things that you can hang on your pages, and so many things nowadays. So this one was called Wicked, and this was a Patreon only one. I think the Black Crystal one might have been too, and that one was a Patreon only. I have put a Patreon details in the description as well. This one's watercolor background. I thought it'd be great to do this because my images always end up in a folder in the cupboard. I don't really do much interesting with them. They just sit there once they've been done. So why not do something interesting with them for a change? Didn't quite need that whole sheet in there, did I? Why waste it? I used to do Creative Memories scrapbooking. I used to sell it, and every month I'd do up a whole heap of pages and have a workshop at the end of the month for my friends. Loads of fun. But Creative Memories went out of business here in Australia. I don't know if it did in other countries, but I don't have it anymore. I think I might go on that angle. You can see our moon. I'm going to put some of this Hessian string on my little broom. I'm not sure how much of it will stay on. It's just one glue dot, so that one wouldn't stay. I feel like it needs something on the top. Maybe, no, I think it's good. Let's just leave it for now. I can come back to it. Making sure it's dry. How long have we got? Not long. Gosh, an hour just flew by. I've got these two beauties here and this beauty here. How many was that? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think she needs to go with the Good Witch. I don't know why. On that page. And then I've got one that'll fit on that one. These two. And I've got two others. I've got the Apprentice Witch, Little Apprentice Witch, and the newest. Oh, yeah, I've got lots. The Wicked Witch, maybe? I don't know yet, but I'll leave them on there because that's where I want to put them when they're done. Now, do these belong on the darker page? No, I think I like them on the lighter page. Forest. I've got a feather. I've got some birds left. I've got a witch's hat, which I think I might put on this side of the cauldron, maybe. Still got feathers here. And birds. I've also got some stars and some moons in here. These are Jane Davenport ones. Actually, a moon would look cool in there. Maybe even a star. Got some flowers. Bit of a mixture. I haven't used any of this material either. This is cool. It's just like material with like sticky stuff on the back of it. That flower needs to be black. I can change that. We can paint it. Take his feet off, I think. It's a poppy. I can sit over the top of that. It's very thanks guys. I wasn't sure if you guys would like it or not, but at least you can see the creative process occurring. And can see, just have it in front of you. That's my probably biggest tip. If you don't have it in front of you, I think I need to stress this page too. I don't think I did that with the other one, the other side. Did I? Do you remember? No, maybe I did. Sometimes you just need to see what somebody else does and go, oh, is that it? I can do that. Trust me, that's what I do. And what do you do with your colorings anyway? Why not put them in something like this? Bit of fun. You don't have to show anyone, but I would love to see your Coven. His little legs got wrinkled there for some reason. Now I've got leftovers. See, this one didn't line up properly when I put it together, but it doesn't matter because I'm covering it over with ink. It doesn't pick up as much as this one. Just so happened that I picked up some really kind of cool coloured paper when I was at my local craft shop. I actually liked the paper in it that there was some like musical notes. This was in it, and there was another one with some other writing, and I liked it for the covers of my craft journal, so that was good. This is an embossing. I got a die cutter, and this is like an embossing tool that you put the paper between and emboss the paper, and then I've just gone over it with some of the distress ink. It's quite cool. I like the way that it came out. Let's add it. What else have I got here in my goodies? Some witchy poo. I like this stuff, it's cool, but it's messy. Very messy you are. You know what? I've got some coloured string here too. We could do some coloured string. You're not going to be coloured much longer. Oh, I like making things messy. It's so much fun. It's going to be too bright if I was just to add it in like that, so I had to do it. I was doing something pretty maybe, but I did my string, it's all black now. You can dry. needs to come off the page though. Drying off my string a little bit. Well, helps if you put your finger in it, I guess. Using the red one now. So it's kind of like a brick red colour. What's it called? Vintage. That one. Vintage walnut and then black. There's something else I could do with the squid ink. I've got gold. And apparently I was reading that the higher up a witch is in a coven, she has this belt thing that she uses. It's 9x9. Or 3x3. 9x9. I don't know. The magic number anyway. And the belt is gold usually. So let's do that. Let's see if I can cover the blue bit up with a bit of gold. No, it's going to be yellow. Oh well. Is it 9x9 or 3x3? I don't know. It's kind of gold. It's green and gold. So there. If I had a normal piece of string, it probably would have worked better. So these little things were confetti tissue from Jane Davenport, which was like little pieces of tissue paper cut into shapes. And this was some sort of sticker. I can't remember what this was. I've just stuck them all into one pack. I have glue all over me now. This is going to take me forever to clean off my hands. Look at them. The things we do for art and craft. Technically craft is art too. But I can't get these stickers off these ones. The last few I've tried to get the sticker, the backing off hasn't come off. Wait. I think I did it. Maybe. It's more transparent than I thought, but anyway. I just made a little lasso type knot thing there. And where's my glue dots? Had a glue dot under that. So one under here. Sticking that bit down. And then I want one over here, sticking this one down. That's cool. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. Now, what was I doing with this bit? That'll do. I think I'll raise this one a little bit. I love you guys. You're all so chatty. Oh, my foam stuff went everywhere. And I love how you get along and you're all so nice to each other. Thank you. Because, you know, I'm off in my own little world here. Not watching chat. So that's good. Nice to have you all. I don't think, I might distress this a little bit, even though it's already dark, just so it's got a little bit of texture through it. I'm just trying to close up dangerous things as I go, as I just noticed there's a knife lid there, but no knife. Trying to find my little distresser. There he is, hiding under all that mess. So this one was Prismacolor. This is called the Oracle of the Forest, this one. I think this was another Patreon one. And so was the Black Sabbath. I've already got a little bit of wax bloom on that too, just noticed. Oh, good. Good. Makes it look even more older. Messy looking. But I'm glad you are, because I'm certainly not. I'm just doing it. I'm just using the foam tape's just decided it doesn't like me. For some stupid reason I can't seem to cut it. See what happens with the foam tape? My scissors are all clogged up with sticky crap, and it's stopping me from being able to cut more. There. My Nana used to make, years ago, do you remember those old books that they used to make? They used to coat them with gold paint and put a picture inside them, cover them with dry flowers, and it's such an 80s or 90s thing. And she used to sell them at her market with her pottery that she made. They were really pretty. They were like, it just looked like an old book, so it had been folded open, and all the pages were all curled and distressed looking, and they put gold paint all over them, and then stuck a photo of a loved one inside it, and then put like dried flowers all the way around. My mum's got one still, actually. I don't have my one that I made, but this was Marker, this one. Black Sabbath. I don't know about you, but this is my kind of thing. I like wrecking things. This is good. I'm covered in paper. Now, this one needs a little something, and I don't know what. Just up here, this bird, I'm not happy with it. It needs some texture. I think it needs just another feather. I think I'll just put another feather up there. With my moon, the Neenah and the Moona. Does it need to go that way? Oh, that way. Can't really see it. Definitely needs something there. I thought I had another little feather. How many have I used? 1, 2, I should have 3 more feathers. Oh, there we go. feathers have come in quite handy actually. I'm glad I printed those out. Okay, need to stick this one down. Any questions? Because I am nearly finished. I'm up to the last coloured picture. The rest I'll have to do once I've finished. But if you have any questions or anything that you want to know, what I might do is put a few links up in the description after to say Jane Davenport. It's just Jane Davenport's website. She has heaps of card making and crafty stuff. Mixed media is what she does best with. And then where did I put my feather? That'd be right. Can't find my feather again. Did it fly off? Did it go underneath? Nope. Nope. It's right in front of my face. Yeah. Come on, peoples. Where do I want it? I don't think it's the right shape, actually. Now I've just done that. I don't know if it's what I want. Let me just get rid of some of this bits that I can't use. Hello. Got my scissors again. Nice long bit of the burlap string stuff. Let's make a bow. Here we go. No, too big. That'll do. Thanks. Pop it up the top there. Thank you. I'm almost finished. Just got one more page today. Tip that up. I think we need to tip that up that way a bit. So I'll put a bit of foam behind that one. I'm not liking the foam at the moment though. It doesn't like me. Just a little bit behind there. And look, I think I could probably print out some skulls as well. I think I definitely need some more feathers. Let's just pop it up there a bit. How's that? I like it. That's good. Alright. We're doing well. We're doing well. Oh look, I found my knife. Cool. There's a lid for that. Now I've got this little feather thing here hanging on my, I could put this in here actually, this would look pretty just hanging in there. Last page, that I can do today. The rest I'm going to have to do when I finish colouring, because I can't really colour them in the book. So yeah, I'm going to have to do them after. But look, we got all the ones that I've done in, and what we can do is put it in the book and see how it's looking so far. I definitely think we need to decorate the front cover at some stage. Hi Beth Ann, I missed you before. Yes, Shadow's asleep, so it wasn't her, it was just me just not seeing it. When you've got a mess, it's hard to see things. So this one has a neo colour background and it is coloured with Copics. And this one is Halloween Tea Party. It's very cute. This one. Getting rid of some of my stuff. I wonder if this would look any good with gold around it. Not really. The black looks heaps better. Yes, I was actually looking up names of witchy books, and it turns out a Book of Shadows used to be originally only the high priestess of a coven would get a copy, but now everybody gets their own copy in the coven. I thought that was kind of cool. Some witchy history. I had to make sure I leave enough room for this one, so I'm just going to leave it there so I can see it. Now this is a black page, so I think I'll go with, just get rid of some more of this rubbish. Got my cuppa. Oh dear me. Yeah, the cover name. Mine was the Crescent Moon. Hang on. Shelley, do you know it? Because I need to go back and check it, because... Oh, I just got an email. Your package from Jane Davenport is not likely to arrive today. Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you for nothing. I'm going to the bottom of the list because my coven's all the way down the bottom. Yes, this is mine. The Crescent Moon Coven. Too pretty. I do like this piece of paper here. These are the ones I made with the Sizzix sticky paper and the die cut machine. Let's make us a little flower. Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. I don't know why it just popped into my head. I just realised I don't even have any lunch to offer my mum when she comes today. Such a bad daughter. I'll have to take her out instead. There is another broom, actually. I do have another broom. I can do that. Another broom. I just haven't cut it out yet. I might need to colour it a bit too, because it's a bit white looking. I'm not good with stickers, as you can see here. We do? Who do we need to block? No one blocks anyone. I don't think so. Why does anyone need to block anyone? Let's not go there, shall we? Look, it might be too pretty for a Coven, but you know, it's in there now. I really like this. I think I don't know. I mean, I'm just, you know, mm-mming at the moment. Mm-mm. I have a cauldron. Which we could put some smoke or something coming out of it, I guess. It's a big cauldron though. I have a witchy hat too. I don't know. I'm not totally thrown on those. What have I got over here? There's still a few I haven't cut out yet. There's a broom. That's quite cute. That might look alright just down here over her. Maybe I could put her up here and we can put that over here. It's going to be really hard for me to do this one. Probably because I haven't finished. Although I've still got a little bit of butterfly. I still have a bit of feather here, which I think we could put a little bit of string around again. Actually, where's the white? Let's have a look and see if I can make some actual gold string. Because I didn't like the other one, it didn't come out right. Thanks, guys. Ugh, this one's messier because it's stringy. Haha, it's a bit of string and it's stringy. How's that? Who would have thunk? Well, guys, I think I'm going to finish up here. And I'm going to use that as a bit of gold string. It's not really gold, it's kind of yellow, but that can go around my feather. Actually, just trim off the not gold bit. That can just sit in there. I think my feather needs a bit of distressing. He looks too bright and cheery. That's better. I'm going to just crease down the middle and get it to sit up a little bit too. And let's put some black on the back. Just doing it directly on the page because whatever patterns we do are going to come out anyway, which will look cool. Okay. That looks cool. I'll leave this section here for her when I come back to her because I don't know what colour she'll be and all that sort of thing yet, so I'll leave that there, but the rest I'll stick down and I'm done. But that's it. So shall we, I just want to put it in the book so you can see how it looks. Let me do that. Sit, boo boo, sit. Nope, it's not gonna stay. Oh, got him. Need a bit of foam tape for that bit. Oh, back to the yucky foam tape. Arrgh. Can't get it off. Before I couldn't keep it on and now it won't come off. Alright, let's put it in the book. Look at all my mess. Wait, we just have to take these out for now, so I don't use them. Get my book. Just got to be careful of that elastic there. Okay, so that's our cover. Open it up. There's our first witch who's already bent. That's alright. I think we could do more on that page. It's not finished. It's alright. That's a great thing about it too, is that it's a bit of a scrapbook, so we can do more. Thanks, Helen. I didn't see what happened. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading some of these comments. Great, thank you. I don't know. We don't talk about other people like that. It's not nice. Everybody's welcome here. But I hope you enjoyed it, guys. And look, a lot of this stuff I had here at home already, especially the scrapbook stuff. But yeah, just collect it. And I think that's my favorite page so far, that one. I think this needs some more stuff, so I'll play around with it and add more into it. It needs something lifted off the page here. But yeah, I can have a play with it and I'll finish it off, and I just wanted to show you guys how I was going to do it. Thank you so very much, peoples. Oh, you know what, Helen, my die cut thing, it's just a windy one. It was only like $99 at my local shop, which is actually quite good priced. Jane Davenport has one, but it was quite a lot of money, and this one's actually quite a lot like it, so I just went and brought the cheap one. I don't use it enough. Maybe some little things like this, but you've got to buy the die cuts and all that sort of stuff with it, so that ends up building up and costing money. But my tea is finished, so I'm running. Love you and leave you. It's still not nice to bring up here in my stream, thanks. Yeah, that's right. You don't need to so sorry, Pat. both parts. There's just no need for it. But anyway, thanks guys. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Don't forget to drop in on Friday. We're going to be finishing off the Jenny Lewin image. And also, is it this week? I'm sure it's this week. Have we got our Halloween colorathon? I'll be streaming on the 2 days, the Monday normal, and also I'll be doing an extra one on the Saturday. My Saturday, it might be your Sunday. I don't know. Your Friday. I don't know. Sometime. I'm on there though. Oh yes, we're streaming after the weekend. So next Tuesday, not tomorrow, but next week. So, yeah. And that will be with Sammy and Laura and myself. And we'll be doing something spooky for that. Oh, it's okay, sweetie. Don't worry. Alright, thank you so much, guys. I never had drama. Come on, peoples. We don't do drama here. No drama llama. We need a big moon. I think I could do that. Big moon on there. But yeah, I've got plenty of room for more. I could put another 50 pages in there probably. Yeah. Put the moon and the crescent moon Coven on it. Night all. I'm gonna go and clean up my mess. Check it out. I'm gonna go clean it all up now. Bye. Bye guys. Thank you. Thanks for coming. See you on Friday.